This era GMC and Chevy pickup won't let you install a factory controller unless it came with one, so you're left with some hokey options, at least to me personally. So I'm going to install the classic brake controller here under the left side of the dash where I think it'll be out of the way. There's a harness already in there from GM that goes back to the trailer connector for wiring in a controller. You got to pull out the dummy plug, and then you got to wire up your connector to your controller. In the glove box that came with the pickup, there's the connector, and you can see it matches up to the dummy plug. So it's about a mile long, so I'm planning to cut it shorter and make a clean connection. I also cut the one to the controller itself, and then I'm going to splice those together. And it's important to realize that the colors do not match up on most of these, so you have to be careful and look at the wiring diagram for the controller and the harness itself from the manufacturer. I'm installing a Tekonsha Prodigy P3, and so I've provided the colors and how they match up to the GM harness there. I'm soldering mine and putting some heat shrink on it, and then I'll also wrap it in a nice braided wire loom here, a split loom. Give it a nice clean factory look. You can buy this connector already like this, but they're long again, depending on where you want to mount it and how much wire you want around. I'm going to mount it right here between the hood release and the data link connector, but I need to install a little spacer here and something to mount to. So I just used what I had around, which was 1.5 inch square steel tubing, and I'm cutting it to a length of 2 inches. And then I'm going to mount the bracket from the trailer brake controller to it. The little provided screws that came with it, a 9/64 bit, worked well for the screws, and they screwed right in and tightened up nice. And now I have to come up with a way to mount that to the pickup. So I'm going to do a couple of larger 1/2 inch holes here, and then I'll use the same 9/64 bit and screws to screw it up into place underneath the dash to that metal bracket there under the dash. So I use the block itself to kind of align where I want my first hole, poke that through, and then I'll screw it in, and then with it partially in place I'll know where to put the second hole for the second screw. Now I have a good spacer that brings it down to level with the trim. 1.25 inch square tubing might be even better, but this was a pretty close, really nice fit with the 1.5 inch. And then I just screw on the little snap-in bracket for the controller itself, plug in my harness I've made, snap it under the dash, and see how I like the look and the profile of it. If it's going to be out of the way. It powered on when I did that. The display does that, and it turns itself off after so much time of being inactive. And that's how she looks in there. Got space for the feet, moving around without kicking it loose, and so I was really happy with how it turned out. Hope that's helpful for you if you decide to go this route. Appreciate you watching. I hope you like and subscribe.